Hello, and welcome to another edition of No Lights Paranormal, where three nerdy paranormal investigators sit down and discuss spooky stories from the web. My name is Joe, the lead investigator.
My name is Teresa, and I am your researcher.
I am Alex, the Baba Yaga enthusiast and the equipment setter-upper.
You didn't do your normal tagline today.
So I always do normally say the researcher rather than the rest of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, remember she threw us off last week by going different.
Yeah, I decided not to give you guys brain freeze this week because that was weird.
Well, it is different than the norm, so.
I know.
You threw off my OCD.
I'm not always predictable. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, yes, we're going to get into another edition.
Yeah. What's up, guys? How you doing? Uh-huh. So I found a phenomenal story for today. I think you guys are going to like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
both of you guys have said that to me, so that's kind of weird.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Huh.
No, that's okay.
Actually, I'm sorry. No, you said phenomenal. Alex said dope.
Dope.
So.
Oh, that's 80s.
Dope.
That's 80s kids term for phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Should I say cowabunga?
Cowabunga, dude. Yeah, dude, I love it.
It's lit.
Whoa, that was an old one. That was an old one.
So, all right. So, yeah, before we get into the stories, spooky news.
Spooky news. Let's do spooky news. So, some of these ones are a little bit closer to home, literally. So, the first one I want to talk about, and I'm going in order of date here, so this is way cooler because, I'm not just all over the place. So, there is a mini ghost hunt at the Ohio State Reformatory, April 25th. Starts at 10 p.m. and ends at 2 a.m. And if you purchase your ghost walk tickets on the same night, which is from 7:30 to 9:30, they take you around, they give you a historical tour of the building, etc., etc. You get a $10 discount if you do it that way. So super fun, 18 and up only, of course, at the historic Ohio State Reformatory, 100 Reformatory Road in Mansfield, Ohio. Next, we have an April 25th, which is a Friday also, Paranormal Experience at Coco's. It looks to me like these guys are doing something pretty regularly now.
Man, you are they owe us money.
They owe us money at this point. We're sponsoring them at this point. But yeah, this is multiple events that they have hosted now. And general admission tickets only $35. It's Friday, April 25th from 6 to 10 p.m. At Coco's Selfie Space at 530 Euclid Avenue in Cleveland. Says, get ready for a spine-chilling adventure at Coco's Selfie Space. Join us for a night of ghostly encounters and mysterious happenings. Explore the haunted corners of Coco's and uncover the secrets that lie within. This in-person event will have you on the edge of your seat as we delve into the unknown. So, I don't know exactly what this place is, but it's been on here with enough events that I think I'm just going to have to shake my ass up there and have a look.
I mean, we probably should do that in general because it's a place we need to go and investigate.
Agreed.
And maybe we might get sponsored when you tell them how many times you've plugged them.
Which is, literally every show for the last 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're out there and listening, wink, wink.
Hello, Cocos. The next one. It is Paranormal Investigation at the Ross House. April 26th, 7 p.m. until 1 a.m. Bring your own equipment or use equipment provided for a spooky night of investigation. Light refreshments will be provided. $65 a person. Must be 18 years or older or with a parent or guardian. Payment required. Upon form submission, you can send the money, blah, blah, blah. This is at the Ross House, 2011 Belmont Street in Bel Air, Ohio. Those of you who are old, like me, might also know this as the Bel Air House. So yeah, same place.
Yeah.
There is May 2nd, which is a Friday. They are having the Para-X Paranormal Expo at the Lake County Historical Society at 415 Riverside Drive in Paynesville. $47 a person. This place is super awesome. It opened in 1852, and until 2004, it ran as a Lake County poorhouse, giving shelter to numerous residents, both wicked and benign. They go over the stories of the people, range from mildly humorous to downright disturbing. Come explore the place from the paranormal investigation perspective and find out for yourself what might be haunting the former poorhouse. Limited to just 40 tickets. The event sells out very quickly, so get your butt online and get those. Again, that's the Lake County Historical Society. There is the Post-Town Elementary School investigation, and it looks to me like they are doing these literally once a month. I've got it on for Friday, May 2nd, Friday, June 6th, Friday, July 11th, August 8th, and September 5th. This is the Post-Town Elementary School at 6600 Trenton Franklin Road in Middletown, Ohio. Super, super fun stuff. Let's see here. What else did I get out for you? Oh, the paranormal investigation at the West Theater. This one is the one that I was talking about that is ridiculously close to home because it is literally right here in Barberton. 1017 Worcester Road West in Barberton. They will embark on a paranormal hunt promptly at 7 p.m. on the evening of Saturday, May 17th. It lasts until about 11:30. They'll be using various types of equipment to discover what or who we are communicating with. Don't worry if you're a newbie. They say that they've got you covered. It is guided by an experienced investigator. Please be sure to bring snacks and beverages for yourself, as they will have intermission breaks.
Everyone loves a good intermission.
And then last but definitely not least, I'm stretching clear out into July here. Friday, July 11th is the Fairfield County Infirmary Paranormal Investigation at the Fairfield County Infirmary at 1587 Granville Pike in Lancaster. This is Friday, July 11th from 7 to 10:30 p.m. It is $120 per person. However, they did make sure to put here that parking is free.
They should for that.
It says, welcome to Fairfield County Infirmary Paranormal Investigation. Join us on a thrilling night for exploring the eerie halls and rooms of this historic location. Are you brave enough to uncover the mysteries that lie within? So, that's what I've got for spooky news.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah. There was quite a bit on it this time.
So you've been better about centering it in Ohio or centering it in future events or whatever you were.
So I actually, what I do when I search is I literally will just type in Google search paranormal events happening in Ohio.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing April of 2025.
Gotcha. Which is the best month of the entire year.
Yes, because it is your birthday month.
You should probably start doing at least May, because it's like the 20th of April, so
I know, I
some of
did
that shit's gonna be done.
I did get into May and even a little bit of July, so.
April's the best month.
So we will continue with Joe's sentiment there by just refreshing. Happy birthday, Joe.
Thank you.
Also, 'tis the season, so it's going to be the season where, like, the paranormal conventions start rolling out.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's all getting ready to go. But yeah.
I got the cough this week. It's fine.
Oh, figures. So who wants to go first this week?
Well, I can go first.
Cool.
The only reason why is because Alex messaged me earlier and it's like, I got a really cool story. I'm going to go last. I'm like, you're already calling it. Okay.
And here's me stuck in the middle like always.
What are you talking about? I'm the one that's stuck in the middle between you two. But anyways, I'm doing Dead Man's Curve.
Well, this time I'm talking about with stories.
Yeah. That sounded weird. All right.
Baby.
Anyways, continuing on. I'm doing Dead Man's Curve, which is, of course, up in Cleveland, Ohio. For those of you who don't know, for our listeners who don't live in Ohio, Dead Man's Curve, English, not today, is a sharp bend on the Interstate 90 near Cleveland, Ohio. It's known for its history of accidents and is considered a haunted road by some, according to the Cleveland.com. Legends say it's haunted by a faceless hitchhiker ghost. The area around the curve also includes a historic house with its own spooky tales, according to the Maryland Haunted Houses. Yeah, just in the history of growing up, that Dead Man's Curve, it earned its nickname. There are plenty of accidents that have happened up there that have claimed lives.
Oh, yeah.
Major accidents that have crippled people. Just horrible curve up there. It
It holds water. It holds bad weather, period.
I mean, if I am correct, it is damn near a 90-degree turn on an interstate.
Yeah. You're going about 60, 65 miles an hour doing a 90-degree turn. It's a recipe for disaster. Whoever designed it
was smoking crack.
Yeah. So the reason why I chose this story, and because we've talked about it here, but the story that I found about the haunted or the faceless hitchhiker kind of ties into the theory of the ghost disappearing after a while because energy dissipates after 100 years or so. And also another caveat to that. that I have found out. And Alex, you have touched on it a little bit in some of the stories that you've done and some of the discussions that we've had. You're welcome. But getting back on Dead Man's Curve, like I said, it has earned a reputation as a haunted location due to the history of accidents and the stories surrounding them. The Faceless Hitchhiker is one of the most famous ones, and I'll read that story now as soon as I get to my notes for it. So no dead air time. So in September of 1969, the state of Ohio rebuilt the road into a straight 4-lane highway. On October 19th, 1969, five teenagers were tragically killed when their 1968 Impala was hit by a 1969 Roadrunner.
Oh,
good car.
Those are two great cars. Holy shit.
At more than 100 miles per hour.
Whoa.
The only survivor was a man named Rick. Since that day, the intersection has been haunted by a faceless hitchhiker, whom Rick has seen 5 times.
Maybe it's one of his friends. I hate that, but...
Yeah. Who knows? They've never actually found what the identity of the hitchhiker actually is, because, it's faceless.
Wow.
So they can't actually get any recognition for him. But going back on the theory of the thermodynamics, that energy dissipates after 100 years, I also found an article, and this is the reason why I chose this, because they're saying that he's not showing as much as he used to. Like, it used to be an apparent haunting, and this is what I specifically looked up in my research, was that I wanted locations of hauntings that aren't as active as they used to be, which is a really difficult thing to look up in Google because it spits out a lot of random stuff. But it specifically chose this one. I was like, cool, that's a hometown. He has not been seen as frequently as he used to. And this is what I found is hilarious. They have done renovations to Dead Man's Curve to make it not as dangerous.
They banked the road, they added rumble strips, all kinds of stuff.
Right. It kind of makes you slow down to like 30 now and not 100.
So with that, the reputation of it is lessening.
Right.
Remember our conversation about the power of the mind? Yes, you're welcome.
Do I?
The more you think about something, the more it can create something. So going with that theory, if it's not as prevalent as it used to be and the curve isn't as dangerous as it used to be because of all the additions to it, people aren't worrying about it as much. People aren't thinking about it as much. So does that actually help with the dissipation of the energy?
Potentially. Or could the dissipation of the energy simply be because the spirits that haunted the place are feeling a little better about it now that it's not so dangerous, so they feel that it's okay for them to go away?
Right. Also, this kind of goes in with the theory again. Like I said, I want everything to tie into that round table because I have a feeling it's going to be a thick episode.
It's going to be a hoot.
Yeah.
I also found an article that there's no new ghost.
No new ghosts? What do you mean?
So we aren't seeing hippies. We aren't seeing California girls from the 80s with big hair. We aren't seeing any new ghosts. All the ghosts that we're seeing are Victorian age or Civil War age or something like that. There's no
That's
80s rock star.
Altogether untrue, actually. I feel like I have heard very, 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 very few stories about modern age ghosts.
I'm going to save any fucking comments that I have for the round table.
Right. And that's to further this discussion.
I refuse to speak on anything right now.
But it made me think. Energy doesn't die, gets recycled somewhere else. So what if, possibly, the energy that dissipates and gets brought into something else recycles every 100 years?
No comment.
All right, Marshawn Lynch.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah. What if the reason why we're not seeing as much or very few of people dead in the 80s or 90s or something like that, why is it all Victorian age or Civil War age or something of that ilk? What if it's not ready to be recycled yet? So what if the next batch, after 100 years of it being recycled, turns out that?
I have to say,
it's an interesting caveat.
If my ancestors are hunting, 80s big hair rock stars, I'm actually going to feel a tad jealous because I didn't get any of that.
All right. I can't not. All right. I'm going to give a little spoiler alert here. Because this is going to divulge into me fucking deep diving yet another subject that kind of ties in, but kind of doesn't all say.
It's getting deep, man.
There's a portion of me that is, it looks at it the same way that people look at old buildings. And for me, I think it might be a mind over matter thing. But we don't see 80s ghosts because we don't look at it like that. As opposed to, well, take the place into consideration more so than the ghost or what happened there. There's very few places from the 80s that, how do I say this nicely, quote unquote, look haunted.
Right.
So is it a mind over matter thing? Is it we don't look at a place that was built in the 80s because that was only 40 years ago as being spooky or dilapidated or falling down and haunted?
Are you going by the building or are you going by the people?
Both.
Because I think the people maybe wouldn't haunt the same location. The same way where a ghost wouldn't haunt a graveyard. Why would you want to go to where you was?
Yeah, like why would you haunt a graveyard? That's stupid.
Yeah. Well,
I get what he's saying.
Here's the thing. Take any club that was born in the 80s, right? Any big brand new building that was born in the right now, it probably looks like a dirty building because that was 45 years ago. I know this. I was born in 1980.
They don't have the history yet.
They don't have the history yet. So therefore, I believe that with people, it's mind over matter, and they look at history as being haunted and not
right. I get you.
Something their age as being haunted.
I get where you're going with it. So I don't know. Again, it's a hypothetical question, but go ahead. Teresa's got some word vomit.
With that said, the Viper Room in Los Angeles, probably one of the most well-known stories of a place like it that is haunted. And it is said to be haunted by numerous spirits. It was actually founded in 1993.
Yeah.
So...
But what spirits are haunted? Is it people from that era or is it from past eras?
It is people from the era that the building has existed.
All right. But let me rebuttal with this. Hollywood is much different than Cleveland.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Everybody follows and thinks about, your favorite rock star or your favorite movie star. And when something happens to them, for some reason, it's a quote unquote tragedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for poor Uncle Bill or whoever, whatever your uncle's name is, because nobody thinks of it in the same light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like historical people have that historical aspect to it. Hollywood has that historical aspect to it because, John Wayne, all right? Everybody knows who John Wayne is. He's a hero to most people like my grandpa's age or my dad's age. You know what I mean? So there's this weird sense of it holds more significance than...
No, I get what like I said, I get where you're going with it.
Jim, Mary, or Jane.
But I don't know. I think that would do more for location, but not the actual entities themselves.
Well, the only reason that I say that it ties together, because it ties together in people's minds. I think they just pay more attention to it. That's all.
Kind of where the confuckery of it is, because, hold on, my brain had to send it, and it just went, boop. Excuse the dead air. My apologies. But that's where it gets more into that article that I found, because it makes sense when you think of it like that. So that's the whole reason why I brought that article up, because and I have to apologize to these guys because I do it to them almost every week where I just say something and they're like, how dare you,
Damn
Joe?
It, Joe.
But yeah, that was my story for this week. And like I said, I just kind of wanted to tie it in more into that discussion because I find it very interesting.
Well, good, because I'm done talking about it. I've given my spoiler and that's it.
Well, now I feel like I should talk about the Viper Room. I mean, Jesus.
No, I love the look on Alex's face because he's looking at me like, how dare you give me.
Well, then I guess I'm going to go ahead and go if you wanted last place.
Sure.
All right. So mine's interesting, actually. It's interesting. So I am doing the haunting of Olavenlana. Olavenlana Castle. Yes.
Okay.
Olavenlana Castle. There we go. I got this. It was
Irish
also
castle,
at some
folks.
point known as St. Olaf's Castle.
St. Olaf's.
So,
For anybody that's seen Frozen.
Olaf!
I love it. My bad. Sorry.
It's all good. I was born in the land barely settled, yet already coveted. Okay, that's what it says about this castle. In 1476, it was a man by the name of Erik Axelsson Tott. He was a Danish-born nobleman. He was serving with the Swedish crown, and he ordered the construction of this place. For him, it was to basically just fortify the eastern front of the border of the territory. At the time, Finland was part of the Kingdom of Sweden. There was a pretty uneasy border with it used to be the Grand Duchy of Moscow, which as we now know is like one of the largest cities on earth. And the border basically slashed straight through the region. So the idea was to draw the line. Treaties obviously were only words, and they were well aware of that. So this place was set up to just protect the border and keep people out. So first, they put up a wooden fort, and the wooden fort was built mostly, honestly, just to protect the workers that were going to be building the big fort itself. Then the stone one rose. There were 3 round towers, very high walls, and then there was a bailey put up with 2 more towers. It took 10 total years before the castle could truly defend itself. But it absolutely worked. It stood like a sentinel at the edge of Sweden's reach, repelling attacks, enduring sieges, and holding its ground for nearly 250 years. Until 1714, when there was a pretty nasty, bloody, fierce siege, and the Russians took it. They held it until Finland gained independence in 1917. Throughout all of those centuries, honestly, death was like a daily visitor at this place. So many people died there. It was ridiculous. There were constantly battles. The castle is, at this time, no longer a garrison, but of course, the ruins of it still kind of remain. There are a lot of stories that have circulated throughout the centuries, and I'm going to tell you a couple of them. The first one is, this place has a lot of really interesting, almost like urban tales at this point, but these are actually all historically accurate. So there was a woman, they call it the Maiden of the Rowan Tree. They say that her name was Engel. She was the daughter of the castle's lord during the late medieval years. She was beautiful, she was innocent, and terribly, she was tragically in love. The man that she loved was an enemy soldier. It was absolutely forbidden romance, very Romeo Juliet kind of shit. The kind that only doomed lovers would know. Even still, they swore that they would be together, and on one moonless night, Engel did the unthinkable. She opened the gates of the castle to this man. It was a trap. The soldier brought all of his troops and with him, and the guards woke up to sounds of swords clashing in the dark. The attackers were defeated, and her lover was slain, and she was sentenced to death.
Traitor.
Yes. The lord of the castle, her own father, did not spare her. As punishment for her betrayal, she was immured, which is buried alive, within the southern wall of the castle courtyard. The people wept for her, but her father completely turned away. Soon after, a rowan tree began to grow on the very spot where she was entombed. Its white flowers symbolizing her innocence, and the red berries, her love and her blood. When the moon is full, they say she returns, a pale figure on the balcony, sometimes alone, sometimes standing side by side with her sworn lover. Her story lives on as a Finnish maiden, a figure that now represents the soul of Finland itself, youthful, defiant, and deeply wounded by betrayal. That's just one of the stories of this place. Here's the real fun one. The castle... What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
The castle has also known stranger saviors. In the spring of 1656, the castle was under siege once again. Tensions ran high, and tar had been laid along the ramparts, ready to repel attackers. And then a storm came. Huge thunderstorm rolled across the sky, lightning cracked the heavens, the tar caught fire, flames leapt into the air, and in the chaos, a ram. A black ram raised inside the castle walls for the feast that never came, was frightened by the thunder. It climbed to the top of the burning rampart, its eyes flashing red in the firelight. It reared up on 2 legs, hooves thrashing, horns gleaming. From the enemy camp across the water, the silhouette looked demonic, a horned beast dancing in flame and storm. The soldiers panicked. Some fled. Some drowned as overloaded boats capsized in the darkness. The siege was broken. And the ram lived out his days to be a hero. Today, the statue stands in his honor on nearby island. Some say, when the wind rises and the thunder rolls, the black ram walks the ramparts once again. Neat, right?
Uh-huh.
So this poor, terrified animal saved this castle from a siege.
There's a ram on top of that. Go Aries.
Yeah, they're like, fuck this, that thing's demon. They thought, yeah, it's actually called the demon ram. They love it.
I've actually been called that before, so sorry.
See, yeah. Water spirits and whisperers. Beyond the maiden and the ram, the region is very, very rich with old tales. One of the Vedahainen, which is the Finnish water spirit that's said to live in the lake that surrounds the castle. They're not always malicious, but they are very curious and very dangerous. They drown people.
Okay.
Still to this day, locals say that when the spirit gets bored, it will just randomly grab a tourist and drown them.
All right.
And maybe when the mist is thick and the lake is still, the past rises with it. So they're saying the victims of this water spirit still haunt the area around the castle. Interesting stuff. Fire, ruin, and restoration. There was one point where the castle nearly disappeared. After Finland became part of Russia in 1809, the castle lost its military role. They literally no longer needed it for sieges or wars. So it served very briefly as a prison, and then it was completely abandoned. 2 devastating fires hit in the 1870s, nearly ending its story for good. But instead, a new chapter began, and it became a monument, an antiquity to be preserved. Restoration began in earnest, culminating a major effort that finished in 1975, just in time for the castle's 500th anniversary. Today, it is one of Finland's most beloved sites. But even in the daylight, when tourists wander the towers and opera echoes from its halls, there are moments, cold drafts, flickering shadows, the feeling that you're not alone. Or maybe you're not actually alone. A castle like this is more than stone in history. It is a memory. It is a legend. It is sorrow sealed into walls and echoes that never fade. It is the maiden's breath caught in the moonlight. It's the black ram's hooves pounding unseen paths. It is a place where war, love, betrayal, and time itself are layered thick like moss on old stone. So if you visit, and I hope you do, pause when you enter the courtyard, look to the southern wall, and remember that some stories never stay buried.
The Baba Yaga.
Like the Baba Yaga.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah. You're welcome for that tagline.
I just love that the demonic ram story actually had a for real ram. Yeah.
Everybody thought it was demonic.
They thought it was just some demon ram rising from the flames of this place.
Mm-hmm. That's actually hilarious, though. It's so fun.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I wonder if that comes along with the idea about the energies and people thinking things into existence, because they say still to this day, if it is like stormy, people have seen the ram.
Yeah, I mean, storms create energy, lightning.
Well, what's crazy about it, though, is there was no demon. It was just a frigging animal.
Yeah.
And he lived out his days happily ever after and was not slaughtered.
Well, back then, in that time, people would take any sort of abnormality as a sign from something.
Valid.
So.
But if people thought they were seeing a demon ram, and now people actually do see some sort of ghost of something that they associate with a demon ram.
Possibly.
It's kind of interesting.
Possibly.
So there's another rabbit hole for you.
I'm done with rabbit holes.
I'm laughing because Alex literally just had an aneurysm. But
yeah.
I've hit my max capacity.
But yes, that is my story.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a good one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you had paranormal in that, so I don't have to ask.
Yeah, there was a little bit of paranormal in there.
All right.
All right.
Boss.
So I guess it's on me. So I did two things this week. A, I put another place on my list of places that it's my bucket list. And B, I went the opposite of the direction that I usually go to look up places. So usually I'm like, whoever had an anomalous amount of downloads this week, I'll go ahead and do a place. So I picked a place that had none. And it was right between two that had like anomalous. Like I was like, oh, well, there's a big white spot that we haven't touched. It's like in the middle of two places that we have touched. So I was like, I'm going to do Mongolia. Cool.
Cool place anyways.
I don't disagree with that.
So I think that after I read this, most people would realize that they know the place that I'm talking about, but might not know the whole story of the place that I'm talking about.
Well, people who are into history will know.
Right. So Khara Khoto, or better known as Khara Khoto, meaning the Black City, is an abandoned walled city in the Gobi Desert, now reduced to crumbling mud brick ruins half swallowed by the sand. Founded in the 11th century as a thriving Silk Road outpost, which also like hit my
I was like, oh, I know a little
history buff where I'm like, hey, cool. Khara Khoto met a violent end in the 14th century as fate had given rise to its eerie reputation. For centuries, local folklore has painted this ghost town as a cursed place haunted by restless spirits, earning it nicknames like the Black City, which actually literally Khara Khoto translates to the Black City, or even the Forbidden City of the desert. Visitors today find the desolate site where history and legend intertwine in tales of ghosts and mysterious lights amid the lonely dunes. Khara Khoto was established in 1032 by the Tangut people as a fortress city and later a capital of the Western Xia Kingdom. Thanks to its strategic location on the Silk Road's fringes, it grew into a thriving trade hub. In 1226, Genghis Khan's Mongol armies captured the city, but unlike many conquests, Khara Khoto was not destroyed. Instead, under the Yuan dynasty rule, it prospered, expanding to about 3 times its original size, and even hosted famed travelers like Marco Polo.
Nice. Watch that in the show.
Who likely referred to it as Edzina in his chronicles. For over a century, the city has flourished in relative peace under the Mongol governance. The end of Khara Khoto came with the fall of the Yuan dynasty after the Mongols were driven out of China by the new Ming dynasty between 1368 and 1644. A large Mongol garrison regrouped at Khara Khoto, using it as a base and a plan to come back. In 1372, Ming forces arrived to neutralize this threat. Local legend holds that the Ming army besieged Khara Khoto and ingeniously diverted the nearby Ejin, or Black, River, which was the city's sole source of water. Cut off from a river.
Yeah.
Cut off from water in the middle of the desert, the defenders faced a grim choice: die of thirst or surrender. Khara Khoto's commander, a Mongol general named Khara Bator, or the Black Hero, is said to have gone mad with despair, murdering his family and then himself when he realized the city's fate. In another version of the tale, however, Khara Bator instead escaped through a secret breach in the fortress wall, a detail seemingly corroborated by a gap that's still visible in the northwest rampart. Either way, the end was bloody. Once the water ran dry, the Ming troops stormed the city and massacred the remaining defenders, leaving Khara Khoto a corpse-littered ruin. So to be completely honest, they literally stormed the city, killed everybody, and left. They didn't even want the city. They were just eliminating a threat. The once great city was abandoned around 1372 and gradually entombed by the encroaching sands. This sudden tragic collapse with an entire population wiped out set the stage for Khara Khoto's haunted reputation in later folklore. Over the century, Khara Khoto's sinister legend grew among the nomads and the settlers of the Gobi region. According to local folklore, the Black City became inhabited only by ghosts and demons after its fall. People living near the ruins long refused to go anywhere close, believing the deserted fortress was cursed and stalked by vengeful spirits. In fact, the Mongols referred to the crumbling site as a dead city or forbidden city, off limits for fear of angering whatever lurked there. A prominent figure in the lore was the ghost of the Black General, presumably tormented spirit of Khara Khoto himself. Local legends claim that the malicious phantom wanders the ruined citadel, and his story lives on in Mongolian folk epics and songs to this day. The unburied souls of the thousands who perished in the final massacre are also said to roam the area. In Mongol legend, ghosts of the fallen soldiers still guard the deserted battlements, making Khara Khoto a truly haunted city. Anyone foolish enough to disturb the site risked provoking the spirits. It's little wonder why, for generations, the new settlement grew on that spot, or no new settlement grew on that spot. Stories of hauntings at Khara Khoto have been passed down through the ages, and some have been reported by travelers and caretakers in modern times. Visitors today describe an uncanny atmosphere inside the ruined walls, especially after sundown. Tourists often leave before dark, influenced by the tales of what happens in the city at night. Those brave enough to camp among the ruins, which you're allowed to do, have recounted various supernatural phenomena. The first of which are ghostly lights and flames. Mysterious lights are said to frequently appear after midnight. Witnesses speak of fuelless flames flickering for hours atop the ramparts or moving about the city with no apparent source of fuel. A longtime site watchman even reported a roving ball of light that approached his camp one night. According to his account, the glowing orb led him miles into the desert before he became frightened and called out, at which point the light kindly turned back and guided him back to the safety of the ruins. Such eerie floating lights in an empty desert are often interpreted as restless spirits of Khara Khoto's dead, offering both wonder and dread to those who've seen them. There are unexplained sounds in the area. In the silence of the Gobi night, people have heard strange noises echoing from the ruins. Locals speak of raucous banging and clamoring with no visible sources, as if ghostly echoes of the battle or panicked last moments are replaying in the fortress. Some explorers have reported the sound of the phantom horse hooves and distant voices in the wind. These sounds heighten the impression that the past is alive and Khara Khoto's trembling walls. While less frequently documented than the lights or sounds, there are tales of shadowy figures seen atop the ramparts in the night. Literally, they have reported seeing shadowy figures carrying torches on the ramparts of this ruined walled city.
Were the torches given lights? Like
Yeah.
light? Was it had
Yeah.
its own sustaining light?
Yeah, it literally looks like somebody is carrying a torch along the walls.
Huh.
That's crazy cool.
Especially with
Which-
the shadow figure going on.
Which, let me tell you, for any D&D nerd like me, I'm like, it's instantly on my places that I have to go.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
And also it's probably going to be in this campaign soon.
Right.
Travelers have described fleeting silhouettes that resemble armed sentries or a lone horseback rider on the walls, vanishing when approached. Such sightings are attributed to the ghost of the Mongol warriors eternally patrolling the city as they failed to defend. The most feared apparition is that of Khara Khoto, the Black General. Locals insist that his angry spirit stalks through the ruins, protecting his lost city and warding off intruders. Many accounts blur the line between legend and personal experience. Modern science might explain the mysterious lights as a natural will-o-wisp phenomena, and noises could be effect of the wind on hollow ruins. Nonetheless, the first-hand stories from local guardians and visitors keep the paranormal mystique alive, and the ghost fires and the desert will-o-wisps reported at Khara Khoto mirror the very details that are described in local lore. So it's historically said that this is the shit that happened, so it's not a surprise that we're seeing this shit. Right?
Kind of makes sense.
That said, one thing that leads credence is that for centuries, Khara Khoto's exact location was forgotten by the outside world, sustained only in Mongol legends and whispers of a lost city guarded by ghosts. Interestingly, it was these very rumors of a hidden ancient city that spurred explorers to search for Khara Khoto in the early 20th century, between 1907 and 1908. That said, for a very long time, locals and guides refused to take anybody there. Like they would point the way. They'd be like, "Hey, it's over there. We're not going there."
Yeah.
To this day, there are plenty of people that the nomads in the area refuse to let their transports both horses and camels like drink there?
Yeah.
Nothing. So today, Khara Khoto's weathered 9-meter high walls and a few structures, and I will post pictures on the Facebook page, still stand in silent testimony to its past. The site is remote but accessible to adventurous travelers, and its haunted reputation continues to be a draw. Camping overnight in the Black City is an option for the bold, and local tour guides sometimes will recount ghost stories to you under the desert stars. I want to hear ghost stories from a fucking Mongol tour guide, like in a weird city in the middle of the desert. I'm into it.
Yeah, no, I would be down for that. That would be really cool.
Those who do spend the night in Khara Khoto often keep an eye out for the legendary ghost lights in the darkness and listening intently for spectral noises. In this way, the archaeological heritage and paranormal lore of Khara Khoto have become entwined. The city's history of abrupt destruction undeniably feeds the tales of curses and hauntings, while the enduring ghost stories ensure that Khara Khoto is remembered not just as another archaeological ruin, but as a place of living legend.
Okay.
That's really
so
cool.
You were correct in your assessment. Dope castle.
Dope castle. Dope castle in the middle of the desert that I really want to visit.
Yeah, no, that'd
I'm
be
like,
cool.
I want to see castle guards that still haunt the place.
Yeah, no, I'm interested in the torch carrying though, because that's not something you see shadow figures doing.
No, that's pretty awesome, actually.
No. I wonder how that would pick up on thermal.
Ooh.
Do you get a heat signature and a cold spot?
I would assume yes, because I've actually
Look at that. Look at that. I just made Joe's brain break like he usually makes mine.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what?
No, I've actually got something like that on the thermal before, but it wasn't an actual torch. It was a light on the wall, but there was a cold spot directly next to it. It was weird.
Well, all right. So here, let me break your brain a little bit more, and this is how I'll tie it into next week's roundtable.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
In the laws of thermodynamics, anytime that you convert one energy source to another energy source, it creates heat.
Yeah.
Period. That's how energy is converted.
Yeah.
So weird, and I'll talk about this more next week, that all ghosts show up as a cold spot, not a hot spot.
Right.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I saw that, Joe.
Yeah, because that would...
So they kind of break laws of quantum physics in a weird degree.
Which actually sound like a sleeve stack right now.
But maybe Khara Khoto and the Gobi Desert, because we've never taken thermals out there yet that I know of, does not break that law.
Maybe. Maybe it would depend to get a hot spot out in the desert, because desert has weird things with the hot and the cold and all that. And I don't know. I think it would mess with the thermal more than anything else.
And to be fair, I have not looked and Googled like the average climate or anything for the Gobi Desert, because I know like out in Arizona and shit, right? So like, don't get me wrong, it's 120 degrees during the day, way too fucking hot for me, but it literally drops down to like 70 degrees at night.
Yeah. Yeah, huge temperature variations.
Which makes 70 degrees feel real fucking cold when it's been 120 degrees all goddamn day.
Yeah.
I'm literally looking up thermal images and they ship, but I looked up thermal images from Mongolia and it gave me power plants.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
But that's my story for the week.
I dig it. We're going to Mongolia.
No, I'd be... So what was the name of this place again?
It's called Khara Khoto, or Khara Khoto, or more famously known as Khara Khoto. It's Khara Khoto.
What was the last part?
What?
Khara?
Khoto. Khara Khoto.
Okay.
And it's a really cool looking place. And despite the fact that it is like mostly like sand swept now, there are still like large buildings there that stand even today. And again, the last time anybody permanently lived there was like 1370 something.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
And then here's a weird part. Maybe ghosts don't die after 100 years.
Oh, that was the theory.
yeah, I mean, I definitely want to say that we've, just in our own experiences, I think that we've kind of debunked the idea that would happen. But then it leads you to like, what is the energy cutoff point? When does recycling happen, and why, and
All right.
how?
2 more sneak peeks.
No.
Well, no, 'cause it ties into this specifically. The real sneak peek being that we take shit to haunted places and it drains batteries so that they get to recharge themselves, which is something that we will full on in depth, like, go over next week.
Sure.
But on the same token, in places like this that are hundreds of years old, in fact, literally almost 1,000 now, is the fact that not many people go to visit there mean they don't use energy to show themselves? You know what I mean?
So your
Like,
suggestion
we go to
would be
haunted
that-
places all the time, and like when we went to Madison, you're like the night before somebody was there and they literally got ran out of the place, and like we literally instantly when we heard that we were like, cool, does that mean their batteries are dead and they're not going to show us?
Yeah.
So are you saying that that potentially the spirits that are there may have sort of energy reserves to spare
If
because
they have
they're-
no reason to expend energy,
because they're so
do they?
sparsely sort of visited?
Thinking. Hold on. One, possibly, because they're not expending any energy, so it makes sense that they would have reserves and all that. But 2, they could also pull energy out of the air because energy is in the air as well.
Technically, I mean, you're in a desert, so heat transfer
Right.
bleh.
So maybe it's like a battery pack to them.
Might be.
So,
Ooh, that'd be an interesting
Potentially.
Right.
fucking. That would totally be
Got
an
you back.
interesting deep dive.
got you back.
You did get me back. Do desert places stay more haunted for longer than, say, a cold climate place?
Right.
That's a phenomenal question that I don't think that I have a rabbit hole for.
I mean, we
Well,
have
we found the
rabbit
next
holes
round
for
table.
it. All right, we have rabbit holes. We just don't know.
I think that next week is going to be crazy, and we should probably just set aside, more than 1 hour for that. 'Cause-
Ladies, gentlemen, audience of all ages. All right, we don't have any answers. We really don't.
That's the point of it, the podcast. It's a discussion. Like, we try to find the answers in the discussion that we're having and the conversations that follow with it. Sometimes we don't.
Also, yeah, as you said, warning, next week is going to be a thick sode.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of rabbit holes to go down, and there's tons of little turns and divides, and yeah, it's going to be a super fun fucking episode.
Yeah,
yeah.
so next week when y'all listen to us, don't do it in the ride to work. Get
Mm,
yourself a glass
unless
of whiskey,
You
glass of
have
milk,
a
glass of pop.
very fucking long ride to work.
Yeah.
Or you drive around all day like I do. Then you can probably listen to it in your car. It's fine.
True.
So, but yeah, interesting story, interesting discussions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it.
So yes, confirmed. Next week is the round table. This week we did what we did.
What we always do. I was trying to do the pinky in the brain thing. It didn't work.
Tried to take over the paranormal world. That said, wife, we have told our stories. You know what time that is.
Socials.
Yep.
So yeah, I know, right? Obviously, we want to hear from every single one of you. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear about your hauntings. I want to hear about places that you want us to cover. And you know what? I want to hear if we have said something that just thoroughly fucking offended you. Go ahead and let me know about it. Yeah. You can email us at nolightsparanormal@gmail.com. You can find us on X at No Lights Para. That's Para. No Lights Paranormal on YouTube. Obviously, I got lots of stuff up there and lots more to come. And yeah, so watch it, comment on it. Let me know what you see. Let me know what you hear, etc., etc. And then there's also LinkedIn, No Lights Paranormal on LinkedIn, where we actually have a ton of really phenomenal connections on there.
We have the really fun crazies on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Like,
I got some good shit on there. I mean,
was not
I got
expected.
paranormal groups, I've got parapsychologists, I've got I like literally every single thing that
UFO
you
and
could
cryptid
think
researchers.
of, it's all there. It even goes into physicists and doctors and therapists, probably therapists looking to therapy us. But
Might be.
uh,
But if you're listening, thank you anyway.
yeah, we think you're
Appreciate it.
awesome. Appreciate you. And everybody, just remember,
What?
Oh my God, you forgot your tagline.
I didn't. Either way, What I was going to say is, at this point, the whole world, we love you. Everybody from Dead Man's Curve to Finland, apparently the middle of the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Mongolia.
Oh, but that said, don't fuck with the Baba Yaga.
Your power packet.